Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to go over building infrastructure first. In my previous video on whether or not you should go 4-year plan second or fourth, I didn't build infrastructure, and some people were really curious about that. They were wondering, why didn't I build infrastructure first? And the answer is simply, it often doesn't seem to give an actual tangible benefit. Most of the time I've tested it, it's a net neutral gain. Now let's just go over what I mean by building infrastructure first. What I mean by this is we can construct two things at the same time as Germany. So what you do is you build infrastructure in these two states, then civs, that you get the 100% boost. And then you do it again, and then you keep doing this until you've got the Autobahn, then you build the Autobahn. Now, I have previously done a video on infrastructure, and I showed you guys the math, and it's about 5-ish civs at 25% construction speed, which is free trade plus construction 1, to pay back, going from level 4 to level 5, just to pay back the cost of building infrastructure. The problem with that is it doesn't take into consideration opportunity cost. How much did you lose out on by not having put that production towards a civ? So I did a basic opportunity cost calculation, assuming you started at 10 civs and you went from level 4 to level 5, level 3 to level 5, level 2 to level 5, and then level 2 to level 4. How long is it going to take you to build a civ? And then chaining that into the next one, and you keep going. Consumer goods is represented by forcing you to build the 12th factory twice. Basically, you built to 12 and then you built another factory, but it went to consumer goods. Then you had to build another one. And as you can see, you're saving 63 days, which is a little over one civ, 46 days, which is a little under a civ, 93 days, which is basically a civilian factory and a half, going from 2 to 5, and then going from 2 to 4, you're saving about a civ. And then I did the calculation again, assuming 2 breakpoints, starting at 8, going to 10, having to build at 10 twice, and then having to build at 14 twice. And by the time you get to 15 civilian factories, you got 39 and 53. So about a civ and about 2/3 of a civ, and you're clearly constructing faster. That top one's 2 years. Doing the math is nice and all, but how does that actually work in reality? So the first thing I did was I did this build going 4-year plan second, where I'd build infrastructure with my available factories, and then once they're at 100%, you start building civs there. You don't want to delay and do multiple infrastructures at the same time that you're not going to be able to build in, because that's just a waste of IC. And I did the same build as I did for 4-year plan second, and that got me to July 8th, which is the same as the other two. On July 8th, I have 119 civs and a good amount about to complete. Hold on, let me just calculate the percent. So having gone through and done the math, there are 3.85 civilian factories worth of construction in this list, which is effectively 122.85. Okay, that's good. Now let's compare it to 4-year plan second focus without infrastructure. We have 121 factories. Now let's add up those partials. And having added it all up, surprisingly, that's 3.71 partials, which is effectively 124.71. So we're approximately a civ and a half to 2 civs ahead, having not built infrastructure than having built infrastructure. That's why I didn't build infrastructure. Now, if we go back to the infrastructure save, there is an added benefit of the infrastructure. I have purposely not built to max in all of these 100% states, so I can now build refineries in all these states, and they will get the 2 times bonus rather than the 1.8 times bonus. The thing is, though, nobody's really going to build civs until July of 38. I mean, you could in single player, but in multiplayer, you're just going to get rolled. So I did a second test with Germany, but this time I only built until December. Let's do the non-infrastructure save first. So we've Anschluss, but we have not demanded Sudetenland, and I queued up military factories for any civ that I was going to finish within about the last week of the year. So I'm at 96, and then I'm going to complete 4 more. So that's the benchmark. This is no infrastructure built whatsoever. We've just got the Autobahn. Now let's go to the one with infrastructure. And if we check, I'm only at a 90. Now I'm further through these 4 that aren't complete than the other save. I'm still only at 90. I'm going to end up at 94 civs versus 100 civs if I stop building civs right now. Now I'm still going to get that benefit from having 100% bonuses for refineries, and that'll be nice. You're going to be 6 civs behind. It's kind of a coin flip. So I did one more test. As Germany starts on partial MOB, which has no penalty to building civs, most countries are stuck on civilian economy though, where you get the civilian factory construction speed minus 30%, but no penalty to building infrastructure. So I did the test again with England. So let's look at the no infrastructure build first. And with England, we're at 60 civs, and we've got about 0.63 of a civ sitting here. Don't build infrastructure build. Let's go to the build infrastructure build. With this build, we're at 61 civs, and we've got nearly a civ sitting here. About 0.95 of a civ sitting here, and a little bit being put towards infrastructure that probably shouldn't have been put towards infrastructure. So here we're effectively at 62 civs versus 60. So small benefit. Plus, we now have the benefit of having infrastructure in these states when we get more slots. And this is generally speaking what will end up happening. If you're going to build up for a long time, such as the United States, or if you're going to build civs until 39 as the Soviets, it can be very worthwhile to spend a little bit of time constructing infrastructure. But it's not that big of a benefit, and you're losing flexibility. That's why I didn't build infrastructure. Like, we can do the math all we want, but in practice, it just doesn't really pay itself off. That's why I didn't build infrastructure first, because it's not really a benefit. The opportunity cost of building infrastructure first is so high that takes so long to overcome that you need to be building civs for longer than 2 years to really see a benefit from it. And even then, your benefit's going to be a few civilian factories. Like when you're playing the United States, start off with the massive debuff, right? Undisturbed isolation minus 50% civilian construction speed. So the conventional wisdom, if you're playing as the United States, let me just tag over them, is you build infrastructure to start the game because you have such a malice to building civs that's not worthwhile. Except for here's the thing, if we drag that to the top, it's 106 days. That's still going to pay itself off. It's still going to benefit you. What you should actually do as the United States is build infrastructure where you have large numbers of slots and a lot of resources, and then build civs. Just build civs until you can do giant wicks. You'll end up with the same number of mills by January 1st, 1940, but you'll end up with like 30 more civs. Anyways, I thought I'd just go over that, why I didn't build infrastructure, because it's not really worthwhile for Germany. For other nations, it can be worthwhile, but for Germany or anybody who needs to get the ball rolling quickly, it's not worthwhile. If you can afford to sit back and wait, it can be worthwhile. If you're playing a mod where each state has like 40 factory slots rather than like 15, sure, it'll be worthwhile. But in base game vanilla, it's situational at best. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.